Welcome to Health Oddity, the show that strips away the jargon and hype surrounding all things health and fitness to help you live a long, strong and energetic life. Lining up at the bar this week, here's Peter Lant, Paul Bassett and James St. Pierre.
Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity podcast, episode 23. So we're going to say hello to our regular hosts. Mr. Peter Lant, say hello.
Hello, how are we doing?
You're good. And Mr. Paul Bassett, hello.
Hello, welcome to episode 23.
Sounding as enthusiastic as ever. I've got new glasses as well. They're new glasses, aren't they?
They are? Hey!
They are. New screens. I love it.
No one ever says to me now, had a haircut, because it's been the same for 20 years. So I have to change my glasses to be a compliment.
Paul is very, very excited today because we are welcoming back for part two, Mr. Dan John, all the way from the United States of America. Hello, Dan.
Well, welcome and hello. I like the way you guys introduce yourself. You remind me, watching my mother-in-law use Zoom at a family meeting. Can you hear me? Yes, I'm having a good day. Yes, I am.
So, guys, before we get started, Dan needs no introduction because I introduced him 2 weeks ago. So, if you have not listened to episode 21, which is Dan John Part 1, I would recommend you go back and listen to Part 1 before you listen to Part 2, because this is purely going to be a continuation of where we left off last time. So if you haven't listened to Part 1, listen to that first, then come back to this one. And Dan is now racking his brains thinking about what we spoke about 2 weeks ago. But
No, my issue is how many of the listeners are actually going to follow that simple advice. So I'm listening to Part 2, but what James is saying is I need to actually go listen to Part 1 first. I mean, I'm already getting 33 emails from this. Wait, where do I find Part 1? Just below on the screen, you'll see part. You just have to scroll down.
You've been taking something, haven't you? You're a bit different today. Have you had to, like, it's that cup? What have you got in that cup?
it's whiskey.
Hey, that'll be it.
You know what? I looked at my coffee and I looked at a bottle of whiskey and I thought,
I don't know how well this will come, but can you guys see that on the screen?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my that's my job. I mean, that's my, like, I don't know, what do you call it when someone hires somebody to make a logo? It's my logo.
Ah.
Well, you know you've made it when you get your own whiskey. Like Conor McGregor, you know.
You know, I feel bad for Conor because when he found out I had my own whiskey brand, I'm so sick of him just following everything I do. You know. I was sitting one time with Frank Sinatra and who's that young Scottish boy, the James Bond, Sean Connery, nice young man. I like that. And the three of us are just sitting around nice as can be. And it's like I'm exhausted by people, you know, following what I do. You know, I'm just so tired of it, you know.
Is that why you gave up singing? Because Frank Sinatra was just like, I'm going to do it as well. You're like, all right, I'll become a strength coach then.
It's when I pulled my hamstring.
So, guys, before we move on, just very seriously, Dan makes a serious point. If you do not know where to find Part 1, just scroll down 2 places. Last week was Paul McElroy. The week before that was Dan John. Go back 2 places, listen to that, then come back to us. Fantastic. Right, so where we left off last time, Dan, I think you were just about to break into song.
Exactly. So let's go back. Let's just get right down. Someone comes to you or myself and you're a trainer, you're a coach, whatever your job title is, you know, whatever your job, and it would even work. I think you guys, we call them physical therapists here, but I think you guys call them physios there. It's someone who looks at the nuts and bolts of the. And one of the first things I think it's appropriate to ask is, you know, like, what's your goal? Even if someone comes to me broken and says, Dan, or I would send them off, of course, for somebody else, but the thing that comes up is, what's your goal? Instantly, there's a line in the sand in my mind. Okay. If the goal is a performance goal, which is to me, someone calling your name and you stepping up onto the field of play, the ring, the platform, the mat, whatever, that is, to me, that is what I call an active athlete. And that is different. Okay. So with active athletes, very simply, I basically ask the question, can you go? Okay, that's the title of the book, because that's what you ask athletes. So if somebody says, I want to run a marathon, and I'll just say, well, what can you do? I mean, it's a very simple question. Well, I haven't run in 35 years is a lot different than I just finished the Ironman triathlon and I want to specialize in a marathon. You guys, you follow? So you just got to take it. And the problem we have in the world of the fitness industry is that people mentally slide athletes and general population. And I heard that this is what the Nigerian sprinter was doing, so I'm going to apply that to my grandmother. And my grandmother slipped the other day, so now my gym is going to be completely filled with little bars for stabilization, so no one will ever fall again. You follow my point? What you're doing with the geriatric population, there might be, and I'll grant you this, there might be some insights that help us in performance. And what the Jamaican Sprinter Corps is doing might help us with 80-year-old grandmas. But generally, you gotta separate it, okay? If I'm working with somebody who does not have an athletic goal, almost 100% of the time, the answer is, and if you've ever talked to a person, especially here in the States, I'm sure in England now too, I want to lose weight. That is the response. And the doctor said I need to lose 20 pounds. And then I think to myself mentally, no, he meant 50. You just heard 25. Or he said, you need to lose 10 kilos. No, he said 30, but I get it. Your hearing loss is going too. If you want to lose weight, I just take you in my backyard. I have a very large axe, and I put your leg on the bench, and I chop part of the leg off. We weigh you again. If you haven't yet lost the correct number of kilos, we just keep chopping until we get the weight to where your doctor asked you to be.
Do you keep clients, Dan?
Not as many as you think. No. In fact, you really don't get a lot after that a few times.
He's from the Monty Python School of Training, you see.
Yeah. So then the person finally figures out that I'm interested in is fat loss. Now, it's now time to do let's go through two mental things real quick. So step one, are you an athlete or general population? The bulk of the people we're going to talk about in this podcast, general population. Okay, so that was spreadsheet click number one. Okay, general pop. Now, two important things. Personally, I don't know how to say this nicely. I don't care what the client wants. I only care about what the client needs. So that is step number one. Step number two is listening to the client in the feedback and then preparing yourself. And I got to say, the phrase would be steeling yourself, armoring yourself up for the stupidest conversations you'll ever have in your life. You're going to say something like, you need to eat more vegetables. And the client will push back and say, what do you mean by vegetables? I need to drink more water. And the client will push back. And what do you mean by water? Because that is the job of someone who needs to lose fat, is to put barriers up. Oh, and so let's go through. So now mentally, so we separated the person, the general population, just as a big headline. I'm going to try to find what they need. And do me a favor, James, ask me what my goals are, and I'll tell you how you should correctly listen to clients after they say that.
Okay, so Dan, just tell me what your goals are, please.
That's the teacher from Charlie Brown.
That's exactly
for anyone of a certain age.
Yeah, you just age yourself a little bit, Peter. So,
Yep.
you have to be very careful about how you listen to your clients. And listen, this is going to piss some of your listeners off. But generally, James and Peter and Paul and Matthew, Mark and Luke, generally, when a client talks to you, they are telling you what they think you want to hear. So, for those of you who have children, did you do your homework? Yes, I did. Well, can I see your homework? Oh, I still got to do one or two small things. Okay, let me watch you do one or two of those small things, and then I'll ask the question, did you do your homework? Your kid comes in from playing outside for 3 hours, filthy from head to tail, hands muddy. Did you wash your hands before you ate? Yes, I did. Then why are they so muddy? Oh, those hands. Okay. That is how your client is going to talk to you. Now, who's worked with feedback? If I'm wrong, tell me. Is this not true? Your clients will tell you what they think you want to hear.
Yes.
So you've got to get yourself mentally out of this. You cannot get in that circular fight. You got to break. So now we go through my assessment, the 1, 2, 3, 4 assessment. Okay. Assessment number 1 is this, and it's very simple. Can you stand on one foot for 10 seconds? And by the way, I don't care which foot it is. And if you're really thorough, you'll test both feet, but it doesn't matter. Everything you're about to hear, folks, is an if-then. So let's go back to the first one. If the person is an athlete, then a whole different conversation. If the person is general population, then we focus on their needs, not their wants. Step 1, can you stand on one foot for 10 seconds? If they fail the test, I want them to see a medical doctor before we proceed. Now, I don't know why they failed the test, but from what I understand from really smart people, good doctors, good physios, if you can't stand on one foot, there's something wrong with you. Now, you might say, well, yeah, it's because my client weighs 155 kilos. I would argue this, there's something wrong with that client. So if you can't stand on one foot, now here's the other thing too, and this will help anybody who's a personal trainer. You really need, I feel as a trainer, there's 4 phone numbers you need to have. In fact, put them on the wall. A good medical doctor who knows you and you can trust. Number 2, a good dentist. I won't make any British jokes right there. A good dentist, okay? Number 3, a good eye doctor. And number 4, a good veterinarian. And I'll tell you why. Is the bulk of your clients will never go to a doctor, dentist, or eye doctor. But if little Poochie gets sick, they'll come to you for advice. So, and I think you need to have relationships with them. I used to say to my clients, I would say, Peter, I want you to go see a doctor before I help you. And they would go, yeah, okay, I will. Now, I got this thing here. This is the weirdest damn thing. It's a telephone that has a camera inside of it. And this is kind of weird. And it doesn't even need a cord to the wall, guys. I know you're just freaking out on this. So I have my doctor, who was a former student of mine, by the way. His name is Ross Bernetti. And it says doctor. It just says doctor, by the way. It says, no, doc. It just says doc. I'll press doc. I'll call up and I'll say, hey, I need a favor. I need to get an appointment for one of my clients. Peter, is 3:30 tomorrow good for you? Good. Okay, thanks. I used to let the person, and now I make the call and make the appointment for them. Because if you can't stand on one foot for 10 seconds, there is something wrong with you. In 1991, when I first started this test, when Peter and Paul and James were all 5 years old, this guy out of nowhere, very nice, he's a big real estate guy here in Utah, out of nowhere couldn't stand on one foot. So we went into the doctor. By the way, causation, correlation, don't worry about it. They did a couple tests, and his PSA test came back, and he had prostate. He had the earliest signals of prostate cancer. He had it taken care of so early that he's still alive, doing fine. Another young lady I work with, she wouldn't tell me. She goes, I know what the problem is. She wouldn't tell me. Well, she has MS. So 5 days a week, she can stand on one foot with no problem. 1 or 2 days a week, she stumbles because of what's going on in her life. You need to know that information, okay? So step 1 takes 10 seconds. My explanation takes 10 minutes. Now 2. 2 is 2 measurements. Okay, step 1 is stand on 1 foot. This is the most important piece of equipment you can have as a coach. It's called a tape measure. Did I lose you guys? I don't know. And there's what you want to do first is do this. You take the person's height, and by the way, always measure it because men lie about everything. And then their height, and then you measure the waistline, okay? If the waistline is over half the height, okay, so if you're 2 meters, let's just say you got a 2 meter client, their waistline can be 1 meter or less, 99 centimeters. If they're 101, they are a body composition client. Step 1, well, I should have done it the other way, but this will be fine. Step 1, can you stand on 1 foot? Next, I make those 2 measurements. We actually start off with another one, just a moment. If your waistline is over half your height, you are a body composition client. You came to my facility, you said you want to get back to bench pressing 200 kilos, which is usually a lie. And I'll say to you, 200 kilos, good plan. Okay, all right, I love your idea. But let's, for the next 2 weeks, let's do some caloric restriction and some inefficient exercises like kettlebell swings or, getting up, getting down kind of stuff. We need to get a caloric deficit and heat the engine up a little bit. So what I do, and if you don't have this, James, ping me an email after and I'll send you the Venn diagram if you don't have it. But so what I have is a Venn diagram with 3 circles. If you're a body composition client, you are in circle number 3. Hi, I'm Dan and I'm a 3. As much as I'd like to outlift everybody in the gym, I don't know if it's the COVID body or whatever, but my waistline is really close now to where it should be, but I'm still fighting to get my waistline back down to half my height. Okay, and maybe it's COVID, maybe it's Christmas, but until I get my waistline back to half, I'm a 3. So even though I want to impress everybody with my outstanding ability to press bells and I'm very good at pressing and snatching, doesn't matter. Until I get my waistline down to 36, I'm impacting my long-term health. I'm impacting my longevity. I'm probably impacting my performance when you think about it. Those first 2 by themselves will probably make you a much better personal trainer. But let's add the other part of number 2. This is an American statistic, but all transferred over. We know this in the United States. If you're 25 to 55, and by the way, 25 is interesting because 19 to 24-year-olds die a lot in the United States. Suicide, driving, just stupid stuff, okay? Hold my beer and watch this kind of crap, hey, let's go pet that alligator, that kind of thing, I'm gonna go spearfishing by myself where the great white sharks are mating. Yeah. Now that's true. If you're 25 to 55, and if you just do 2 things, statistically, you'll make it to 55 in the United States. Don't smoke and wear a seatbelt. Once you get to 25, that's all you need to do to make it to 55 statistically. And then there's a big, unless you weigh over 300 pounds, let's go 138 kilos, and just go 135 and make it that simple. You should have a scale in your gym that has only one number, and that's 135 kilos. You have the client step on it. And by the way, this is going to shock a lot of your listeners, but that's male or female. It doesn't matter. And it's funny because I'll go and teach in Denmark and Sweden and Norway. And I'll say, if a woman weighs over 135 kilos, and you'll get this look back like, Dan, you don't understand kilos because you're American. And you Americans are all about pounds. No, I said 100. And then this shaking hand will go up. And I'll go, yes. And this poor person from Denmark will have this face, like they've seen horrors, and they'll say something like, I went to the United States and I went to a place called Mississippi. Then you have to kind of put your arms around them. We have a lot of women here in the United States who weigh over 135 kilos. And if you weigh over 100, so if you fail this test, I step back again, but this time I make 3 phone calls. And it goes in this order. I want to go see an eye doctor first, because morbid obesity, however you want to say the word, has a huge impact on your sight. And I want the person, the very first thing they see is someone saying, we've got to fix this. The pressure on your vascular system, the veins and arteries, is you're under a lot. By the way, eye doctors can see diabetes, whatever it is. They can see high cholesterol. Then I want you to see a dentist. By the way, I went to the dentist yesterday, so good for me.
Well, I'm married to one, and I went to get some new glasses on Wednesday, so I've done both of those.
There you go. Yeah. And with that haircut, you're doing great. So, yeah. Sorry, we had a haircut joke earlier. So,
is it safe, Dan?
Yeah. Yes. Thanks for getting that joke. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Every single listener who is a personal trainer or whatever we call them, someone who coaches people, is going to tell the client you need to eat vegetables, right? Isn't that what that's just like a given, right? But if you need some teeth replaced and you have a bunch of cavities and you have a bunch of issues, you can't eat the food you need to eat to deal with your issues. And when you go to the dentist, it's interesting. By the way, for your heart health, there's the 2 best things I do. 3 weeks a year, I go to the American Red Cross and I give something called a Power Red donation, which is I give 2 whole units of blood and they give me my plasma back. I am a universal donor, but I also didn't have some disease as a child. So they can give my red blood cells to newborns without any fear. And so I get I'm not saying I'm special, but my blood type is really important for little ones. So having said that, for my heart health, lowering my hematocrit, and weirdly, my hematocrit was the highest it's been in years this last time when I went to the American Red Cross on Monday. And all I can think of is I think it's the COVID, the fact that I don't go anywhere, and the fact that I grill a lot. I think my meat, the amount of meat I've eaten with COVID has gone. That's the only thing I can think about. The other thing, the best thing you can do for your heart health is go to the dentist. Because if you have an infection here, every time your heart pumps, that infection goes throughout the entire system. Flossing daily, twice a day in my case, and everyone else should doing it. I go to the dentist 3 times a year, and someone's gonna say, well, you're like the little girl you said, well, your insurance won't pay for it if you go 3 times. And I said, in her name, her name is Shari. And I said, how much are you gonna charge me? She goes, $46. And I said, as nice as I could, that's about 1/4 of my bar tab at a restaurant. I can handle it, I'll sell one of my children or something. I'll kill my dog and sell the fur, whatever.
Well, you got to grill something, haven't you?
Yeah, then I'll grill. Yeah.
Well, he's got a load of people's legs in the garden as well, hasn't he?
He's
hanging up and drying out and stuff like that, aged.
So, if you weigh over 300, if you weigh over 135K, I call my eye doctor, Bob Keller. I'd call Dr. Seth, my dentist. I call Ross Bernetti, my medical doctor. And by the time you come back, so that might take a week or so, but here's the thing. You tell me that your eye doctor went, you tell me that your dentist went, we'll see you in a week, we'll need to see you 5 times next week. And your medical doctor said, here are the 27 different pills you need to take, because you need, if you're over 135K, you need medical intervention and the safety of the medical intervention. You know, if someone's, I don't know if you guys use blood pressure at the same numbers we do, but if your blood pressure is 250 over 200, I'm not going to have you front squat. You know,
there's interesting conversations at the moment about what health is, but you have a very clear idea of what you think a client's health is. Because in the media at the moment, better for worse, but there's certainly different perspectives on what it is. I mean,
let's review real quick what I think, and I'm right, so it's okay. Save you a lot of time. So I use Maffetone's definition of health, the optimal interplay of the human organs. Your blood pressure is in the correct range. All your blood tests come back in the correct range. You're cancer-free, you're disease-free. There's no horns growing out of any part of your body. Your liver is livering, your kidneys are kidneying. Okay, that to me is health. And what the mistake we make is, and this comes right out of the workout that shall not be named, is the next one, fitness. Fitness is the ability to do a task. If I'm working with an athlete, I don't give a shit about their cardiovascular health if they're a discus thrower or shot putter. I don't care if they get tired and sweaty when they throw the world record. They're still the world record holder. If I had a friend in high school, got drunk, dived into a pool, broke his neck, couldn't walk again, but he fathered 2 kids. He was fit to father 2 children. He wasn't fit to run. You got that? Third word that throws people off is longevity. And of course, that's going to have a qualitative issue and a quantitative. On the quantity side, half of it's going to be DNA. You're born lucky. If your grandparents lived into their early hundreds, 90s, you're on both sides, and your mom and dad are still bugging you at, 79 and 80, you've got the better genes than I do. About 10% luck, you didn't go out that one night and you didn't get in that terrible accident. You went left instead of right, and the tornado hit there or the shark went there. And about 40% probably is lifestyle. I would still argue, but it's simple stuff. I mean, it's going to be floss your teeth, go see your dentist, go see your doctor, go see your, take care of your health, wear your seatbelt, wear your helmets, learn how to fall, go for a walk now and again, try not to be a total idiot. And then the fourth one is performance. And that's when someone says your name. This is what I do for a living. Someone calls your name and you step up. The mistake we make, as I said before, sometimes we take performance and shove it into the other ones. There's 2 others that don't fit, but we have to talk about because that's when the hands come up. That's fat loss and building lean body mass. The 2 most difficult things I know to do for the human body is fat loss and build lean body mass. And that's where all the questions come up. For those of you who ever built lean body mass, doing it for 20, 30 years works a lot better than 2 weeks. The best advice you can have for fat loss is, Art Devaney's, don't get fat in the first place. Was that helpful? And that's.
I mean, the thing is, who comes to see you? So at the moment, you've got years of experience, and you've got, from what I understand, you've got your hat in 2 camps. Do you consult with some performance-based athletic teams? So you have you work with American footballers and discus throwers and track and field. But do you have any general population, or is that just like a part? Is that like a passion thing, or is it actually legitimate?
It's a good question. So with the military, the sports, the professional teams, the collegiate teams, and then track and field, and then everything I do for general population is free. So I don't charge. And there's good reasons for it. First, I feel like I owe the community that helped me. And then number 2 is, if I don't charge, then I don't, this sounds terrible. I can walk away easier. If I go through the 1, 2, 3, 4 assessment with you and you take none of my advice, I don't feel like I have to then call you every day. Now, I do sometimes do that. And if you'd like, make a note on how I train general pop people, okay? And we'll come at the end, we'll go over that, okay? Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
Okay. If I'm working with somebody who's morbidly obese, I'll tell you how the system I use now.
Yeah.
Okay. So stand on 1 foot for 10 seconds. It's an if then. If yes, keep testing. If no, doctor. Jump on the scale, over 135 kilos. If yes, eye doctor, dentist, medical doctor. If no, we keep assessing. The next assessment, height, waistline, over half, you're a 3. Hi, I'm Dan, and I'm a 3. Body composition. If no, no. Now we move to 3 questions. And by the way, the questions, one of them I got massive pushback for a while, and now all of a sudden people are saying I'm right. And that what bothers me mostly is, why would you ever question if I'm right? Now, question number 1 is this. How many pillows does it take for you to sleep comfortably at night? If it's more than 1, you are a mobility client.
What's your record on that?
Let's see. It was a guy who used to play in the National Football League. It's 8.
8, yeah. I remember you saying that once. It was 8 or 9, and I was like, who needs that many pillows?
A guy who, his joke is always this. I used to get concussions for a living. You know who thanked me when I started working with him was his wife. Because if you need 8 pillows, that means you move around every 20 minutes. So he was waking her up all night long. Now, here's what's nice about, let me make sure I stay focused here. If you need pillows, and I get a lot of women push back. Well, I go to yoga once a week, so I'm very flexible. And good for you, but why do you need 3 pillows? Oh, because my hips hurt, so I have to put one between my knees, and my shoulders hurt. Okay, you're flexible, but you're not mobile. So mobility is the free movement around the joints. Flexibility is a neurological trick, and I showed that at the workshop, right, James, where I can show you how to trick any flexibility test in the world, to the point that when my good friend Mike is the physical therapist, it's like, I'm not going to do flexibility tricks because I know you're going to cheat him. Yeah, because so I lean over and I almost put my elbows on the ground because I'm tricking the test, So it's a tough one. Now, here's what's great. So by the way, Venn circle number 1 is mobility. Here's what you generally find with American males is their waistline is over half their height. So that puts them in that 3 circle. They also need more than 1 pillow, which puts them a mobility and a body client, which makes them what we call a 2. And to be honest with you, 2s are some of the easiest to work with long term, because if I can get them to do we'll use a kettlebell workout. If I can get them to do kettlebell swings, half kneeling presses, and goblet squats, and then we do some original strength or just any kind of mobility work, within a few workouts, they begin to sleep better and sleep more because they're not tossing and turning so much. The more quality sleep they get, of course, the better the fat burning engine shows up. So we're burning fat. Actually, you breathe it out, but we're not going to worry about that. You breathe out fat, but we're not going to worry. So they're blowtorching some fat, ideally in the gym. Ideally, they've cut back on some caloric issue. Generally, it's pretty easy to pick that out. But they're also sleeping better, which is triggering that hormone change, that hormone cascade. So actually, your best client sometimes is the 2 client, because you get double duty there. You kind of get a 2-for-1 there. When you work with men, as many of you know, if you know my work, I'm not a real big believer in rest periods. I don't like rest periods. I think during rest periods, when you're at the gym, you should be on the ground or standing. You should be doing something for your mobility. And so with a man, most men want to press. So we'll do presses and press and press. Hell, I don't care if if it's overhead presses, I don't think you could do enough.
So by mobile, you don't mean use your mobile phone in between sets?
No, that's right. You guys call them mobile phones. I forgot. Mobility, that's right.
That's what I see a lot of in the gym.
Yeah, that's why.
like that in between, on the phone, hunched over.
And which is why you don't see most people make any progress in the gym either. So you get this kind of nice 2-for-1 with the bulk of your male clients. So have them do presses. And like I was saying, if you're doing something like a set of 2, a set of 3, a set of 5, a set of 10 in double kettlebell presses, a great hypertrophy workout, and we're gonna do 3 rounds of that, that's 60 reps of presses. It's way too many presses. Well, what I'm trying to do with this guy is get him on the ground to do mobility work. And then up, down, off the ground is going to make his heart start pumping. I'm giving him what he wants, but really I'm giving him what he needs. Follow? The next 2 questions have, all I'm trying to discern on the next 2 questions is, what kind of client am I working with? Are you ready? So 3 questions. Stand on 1 foot, 2 measurements, 3 questions. Do you see how this kind of goes 1, 2? Now, in England, you guys count 1, 2, 3 in that order, or you got some, you guys use meters or something like that? I never understand, you know, it's
2 + 2 = 5, from what I understand.
that's it. Okay, got it. Everything's a little different here. The 2 questions are kind of funny, and there's do you eat colorful vegetables every day? James, what's the answer you always get?
What do you mean, colorful vegetables?
Oh, that's a good one too.
Yeah.
Generally, most people say, "Oh yes, absolutely, absolutely, oh yes." Question 3: do you exercise half an hour a day? Oh, absolutely. Oh, never, ever, never miss. Right? And then I will look at this person, they're 155 kilos, and I say, you know, it's weird. I can't help you because I was going to ask you to eat colorful vegetables and exercise half an hour a day. Well, not every day. No, that's not. So exactly when the last time you exercised was? Who was the queen before Elizabeth? That was, yeah, when she was coronated, it's the day I exercised. And again, and James nailed it. What do you mean by colorful vegetables? What we're trying to do here is discern, and I know we're under a time strain, but we're okay. Really, I don't want to go through all of it, but let's go through I'm trying to find, there's basically 5 kinds of clients, okay? But I'll do my best. The best client you can ever get is what I call untrained, a person who's never done a diet or an exercise program. They come in, they're a complete blank slate. And I'll say, you know, I would like you to eat vegetables at meals. Oh, I like vegetables. That'll help me. Yeah. I want you to do 3 sets of 3 in the press. Ooh, I like that. What's the press? Okay, it's this X. Oh, great. That would be the best client you ever get. And no one's ever had one ever, so let's not worry about it. Okay. The other client you'll never get is the one who just is me, Dan John. Hi. I want to have the most beautiful discus throwing technique the world has ever seen. I want absolute mastery. Okay, that client doesn't exist either. So I just shoved that one over here. The worst is the D-trained, and that would be the guy who comes in, the former, I don't know what it would be in England, but here in the United States, it's the former high school football player, American football.
Former rugby player in where we are.
Yeah, Dan, I used to bench 200 kilos, you know, ran a mile in 3 minutes. Used to run marathons every day. Used to clean and jerk 300 kilos for reps. Yeah. Here in the States, we call that used to coulda. I used to coulda do this. I used to coulda do that. For females that like me, so everyone would turn their head when I walked by. Really? Okay. What decade was that? Because you've since then had 3 kids and 75 kilos additional. So, and they keep talking about 1974. Okay. There's a new one who showed up, and it's basically, you get them a lot, these broken people who come from the workout that shall not be named, where you'll say, you know, they show up like this, you know, they just had 5 shoulder surgeries, the elbows don't bend, their knees, and you say, well, what I'd like you to do is I want to watch you do a goblet squat. I can do 10,000 burpees. Okay, that's great, but you can't. Your right hand can't touch your right knee, so because you're so broken. And I call those over-conditioned and undertrained. They got the crap beat out of them. What you're trying to do with these two questions is get a sense of the client you're working with. And if you really want the client who says this, James asked me if I eat colorful vegetables every day. Go ahead.
Do you eat colorful vegetables every day, Dan?
God, no, I hate the damn things. Why do I want that client?
Because they're honest.
They're honest. So if I go away for 2 weeks to go teach a workshop at some great place in England where we play sploosh at night after and run the place out of beer and whiskey every single night. When I come back and I say, "Did you work out?" They'll say, "Yeah, I worked out 5 times. I skipped last Wednesday because my daughter had a flat tire and I had to help her." You know what I know about that person? That's the truth. What I don't want is yes, of course. So those 2 questions give you an insight into what kind of client you have. Now, you gentle listeners, you might not think that's a big deal until the absolute frustration of trying to get somebody, it just, how is this not working? You know, they bring their food journal in and it says, you know, for breakfast I had cauliflower and half a cup of tea, and lunch was a piece of broccoli and half a glass of water. That's their food journal. And then you go out to dinner with one day and they knock down 10,000 calories before the meal shows up. There's your clue. Are we okay? 1, stand on 1 foot. Yes, no. 2, over, under 135 kilos. If over, doctor, dentist, eye doctor. Under, yes. Waist, if it's over half the height, they're a body composition client. Question 1, how many pillows? More than 1, mobility client. Otherwise, not mobility client. And then we move, and then the 2 other questions are half an hour of exercise and colorful vegetables. And those 2 questions don't sound very important until you've been in the business for a while. For those of you, James, I'm guessing how long have you been doing this?
What, doing the 1, 2, 3, 4 assessment, or?
Oh, I mean the business of training.
22 years.
Would you agree that a little question sometimes has more value than an hour and a half of FMS and all the other stuff? Because sometimes those tiny little questions.
Yeah, I was just going to say, since I think it was probably 3 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when you did this with us, when you came over, and since then we've used the 1, 2, 3, 4 with I don't know, 50, 60, 70 people maybe, and I think you said it at the time that the great thing about the questions is, like you say, it's the way people answer them. But the one about the pillows, so many people, like you said previously, they tell you what they think you want to hear. But when you sit down with someone, you say, how many pillows does it take for you to sleep well at night? They don't know what the good answer is. They don't know what the right answer is. So they give you the truth, which I found brilliant, Yeah.
Isn't that funny? There's no one owns pillows. Like if you ask me how much I weigh, I mean, you just look at me, you can tell I'm probably right now about 3% body fat out of 90 kilos.
I've got a quick story about that, if I may. My dad, right? So it was my auntie. He was asking her because she couldn't lose weight. My dad wasn't the best person to ask. He wasn't very healthy, and she wanted some help. And he was like, so he sat down with her. So it was his sister-in-law, his brother's wife. And he sat down with her and he got his pen and he was like, right. And exactly what you just said. What do you have for breakfast? And she was like, oh, I'll have a lettuce leaf and some coffee without milk and all that. And he went through it all, okay. And then he went, right, he goes, I've got the answer. He goes, you're either a medical phenomenon or a liar. And it was brilliant. And he actually said that to her and she was like, what? You don't really get many clients doing that though.
When we get to how I deal now with the real obese client, you'll see how I try to do it. And here's the thing. I fire them now as fast as I can. I don't want to be involved. Yeah, okay. Let's jump. So the 3 questions: pillows, vegetables, exercise. Now there's 4 tests, but really there's just one. There's only one physical test. They don't need to warm up, and it's, can you hold a 2-minute plank? And I picked 2 minutes because I read something that said that was the right amount. And then we started testing it. The nice thing, no one in my gym has ever failed the 2-minute plank test. I'm very proud of it. We're very strong. We're fat, but we're strong fat, okay? That's my new organization called Strong Fat. You can sign up now for your certification. It's where we just eat and lift weights overhead. Here's how you get someone, and this, I always make this joke, but it's very true, especially if someone's never done a 2-minute plank. How to make them fail the plank test. Okay, get in a position, I like push-up position plank, and then you can just see that back sag, and I don't correct it because you don't say anything for 60 seconds, and then you say, halfway. Boom, 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 boom. They all fall. And I don't care how ugly the plank is. If they get there, they get there. If they fail the plank test, we're done assessing. Because now I know that they're in circle number 5. Circle 1 is mobility. Circle 3 is body comp. Circle 5 is strength. And when you combine the circles together, you get 2, 4, and 6. And then in the middle is 7. A 7 is someone who's failed every test. Hint, 7s are also the people who think, you don't know me, Dan. Once I put my brain to something, I never fail. Then how did you get up to 155 kilos?
Turn their hand to it.
That they didn't have their brain, they didn't have their mind on it yet. Where the hell's your mind been for the last 40 years, you know?
Paul said something about this in one of the previous podcasts. He said you get people who come in and say, I'm an all or nothing type person. And he goes, well, where's the all? Because all I've seen is nothing. I thought that was brilliant.
So right there, okay, so that's exactly, I agree, 100, that's exactly it. All or nothing, geez, that's amazing.
I think all equates to an Olympic athlete in my mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. So if you fail the plank test, you are a strength. Now, here's the thing in the United States, and I pretty much think it'd be true where you guys are and any listener. Most women tend to be not just 5s. They also tend to have, they fail the plank test, but they also have issues with body comp, which puts them in a special category called 4, body composition and strength. My friend Josh Hillis, who's a female fat loss expert, has told me this 1,000 times, and I've said it more. Most females want to go on rabbit starvation diets and sweat. It's interesting how people go right back to the cardinal sins. It's sloth or sloth, depending on where you're from, and gluttony. They actually, even if they're non-believers, they start to go back to the seven deadly sins. And I'm going to punish myself for the 20 years by now not eating anything and making myself sweat dreadfully. But the truth is, most women, and I actually have one of my clients going to be here in just a little bit, you know, this client, she's 50, she's going to be 51, and she can do 7 pull-ups, and her goal for this, she's going down on us all-inclusive, and she wants to do 10 pull-ups before she goes, because she knows if she can do 10 pull-ups, her body will look the best it's ever looked. How many female clients have you ever heard that phrase from? The correct answer is 0. She's 51, her goal is 10 pull-ups. When women attack strength, all their body composition goals come true. And really, it's pretty simple. He has it just this numbers. He says 3 dips, 3 whatever pull-up, chin-ups, pull-ups, doesn't matter. 3 dips, 3 pull-ups, and either deadlift or squat 60 kilos for 5. If a woman can do those 3 things, almost universally, they're what he calls Rockstar Hot, which is between 19 and 24% body fat. Weirdly, when you actually start working with women at 19 to 24% body fat, that's when you'll start to go, yeah, that's kind of, now for me, I don't, yeah, I don't judge people by their body fat. I judge them by the depth of their squat. I don't. I know a lot of you guys. I don't look at women sexually at all. I don't look at their bodies. I look at their souls. But when I do look at women's bodies as a professional,
Serious face on.
I seem to like that. That's kind of the wheelhouse I like to look at as a professional. Like when I'm on a beach, and women will walk past, you'll notice that I'm checking their gait, Gait. I'm looking to see if they have turnout in their feet. I'm looking to see, one shoulder dips more than the other. That's what I'm staring at, folks. So thank you.
That's on. Have you ever seen Kingpin, the film?
Oh God, a million years ago, yeah.
That's when Randy Quaid's the Amish guy, and the hot lady walks in, and he starts laughing, and he goes, "Because with those hips, you won't even be able to have like any more than like 6 or 7 children."
Okay, if you pass the strength test, this plank, I have 2 tests that don't test you; they test me and my programming. The first is a standing long jump. I expect to be able to jump as far as you are tall. So if you're 2 meters tall, if you're 1.8, okay, jump 1.8, okay. And if you can't, okay. If you can't, then I'm thinking maybe you need some hip mobility work and you need to build your butt up, which, by the way, is what you're going to do with every person who comes in anyway. Glutes and hip mobility. And then the next one is we take your body weight. Now I use a trap bar, and I really use close enough numbers. So if the person weighs 88 kilos, 90 is fine. If the person, whatever the easiest, and then I measure them one down and back is fine, or you can loop it out, whatever you have as a standard. And here's the thing: 6 weeks from now, I'm going to retest your farmer walk, and I'm going to retest your standing long jump. If both go up, then I know our program is working. If both go down, I suck. That's on me. It makes sense? You have got to test your programming. And the 2 best tests I know for testing programming are the standing long jump and the farmer walk. For testing because there's no learning curve on either. I mean, how hard is it? Here, grab that, walk with it. I mean, that's it. Here's a line, jump farther. I do like it when people practice these to beat the tests. That's telling me that I'm on the right track up here with them. And then the 4th is some kind of get down onto the ground and get back up. Now, there is the Brazilian test that's a little more formal, where you measure people by how many times. That's fine. You could teach them the Turkish get up and just get a sense of things. I have, and I think I did it at your place, James, the get back up drill.
Yes, yeah, you did, yeah.
Love that.
And all you're looking for, and you're not trying to exhaust them. You're just trying to get if you say, get down on the ground, and they look and they say, all the way down there, that's an assessment in itself. If they get down, when they're coming up off the ground, and you're looking at 30, 40, 50 seconds for every rep, 6, 8, 10 weeks later, they're laying on the ground after a press up, push up, whatever the exercise is, and they just go whack, and they pop right up. We can assume that we're on the right track. So the 4 tests are plank, standing long jump, farmer walk, some get up assessment. 1, stand on 1 foot, 2 measurements, 3 questions, 4 strengths tests. You have enough information. And James, if you've done this without explaining it, it probably takes, would you say it takes maybe 4 or 5 minutes at most?
Yeah, I mean, we use it, and we've got it now on a single sheet, that we track people, and it's even if you're really explaining it well and explaining the reasons behind doing each test, it's 10 minutes,
Yeah. Would you send me a copy of that?
Yeah, I can do. Yeah, definitely.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, there's a couple of people who've turned. So I'm not bragging, but the way my brain works really is, and it's not good for everything in my life, is very much if then. So I'm a very spreadsheet thinky person. So one of my interns turned this whole thing into a spreadsheet. Sadly, being 63, I can't find the damn thing. But what it is that, sorry?
In the computer.
Yeah, I know. Where
Is it like Zoolander?
Where
That's off
is-
Zoolander, yeah.
Where
Yeah,
is
it's in there
that?
somewhere. Where is it?
I can't see. So, but really, it works out to it. The whole thing is if then. If your body comp, then here's you, and then what you'll do, of course, and this is when I'm coming back in 2 weeks, is we'll talk then, or 3, whatever you guys invite me back. Then we'll take the information that comes from that assessment, and then we'll program where you need to be from there. So that little teeny 3-circle Venn diagram leads us directly to the movement matrix and programming. And for me, the bulk of what programming is, well, it starts with this: what equipment do you have? And then second, what do you do? What do you currently do? And then number 3, what are the gaps? What are you not doing? And almost universally, and those of you who listen to me, you know, the gaps are authentic squatting and loaded carries.
That sounds like that's going to tie in perfectly for the trilogy, then, Dan, doesn't it?
Now here's the sad thing: Star Wars was really good. Empire was great. The third one sucked. So we're gonna have to really. I can't George Lucas this next one and get a bunch of little koala bears. We can't have a bunch of koala bears here. All right.
Totally off the subject. You watched all the Mandalorian, didn't you?
Oh yes.
Did you like it?
The last one?
No, don't say no, Dan. I'm watching the last episode tonight. I haven't seen it yet. I'm watching it with my wife tonight.
I'll just say this.
It was.
I had when that guy. What do you guys call those things? You call them a little different there. The balaclava.
Oh,
Balaclava,
yeah.
When the guy in the balaclava snipes the little baby Yoda and blows his head off, I'm like, why was I watching for 2 years for that to happen?
I mean, I thought it was a bit excessive to include naked.
Don't give it away. No one give anything away, please.
Yeah, and then Mandalorian goes off and then kills all the other characters on the show. Yeah, I did not think that would be the way they would finish it. It was just different. Yeah.
Turns out it was Warwick Davis all the time.
Deary me. Dan, that's been absolutely fantastic. We've done an hour again, and I know you're going to be training, I presume, with your guys this morning.
Yes.
Are you finished the 10,000 swing challenge now? Have you come to the end of that?
Oh yeah. So I started on January 1st and I finished on the 20th. Yeah, I did.
Every day.
I didn't take a day off. You know, I hate doing it. So I got no value out of stretching it. And then I did 300 swings for a couple days after that. But this week is as I mentioned before, this is my 3 times a year, the double red blood donation. I used to think, you don't know who I am, Dan John, I can train the next day. I think it was a sock that was on the ground, a stocking. And I went and reached over and picked it up. And a few seconds later, I noticed that I was on the ground with it. And I don't remember that middle part. So after giving 2 whole units of blood, it's not a good idea immediately to go out. And then Tuesday I went in for an IV. I'm doing an experiment with IVs, adding minerals and vitamins and antioxidants through IVs. I've done it twice, an experiment, but you don't want to lift after that. Yesterday was the dentist. Today I'll do mobility work. By about tomorrow, tomorrow I'll probably do what I would consider more like presses and loaded carries kind of thing. And next Monday I'll be back to myself. Yeah, so I knocked out that 10,000. In fact, if you go to YouTube, you can watch all of them, every single rep.
Yeah, no, I saw they were going on there every day.
I'm on to episode like 4 or something right now. Not really.
It's not nearly as exciting as it. And it's weird.
Mandalorian, is it to watch?
I was just talking to Brian Gwaltney, who he's the guy. Dan John University is Dan John and Brian Gwaltney, and he's been telling me that 10,000 swing challenge on the YouTube, people are watching it, commenting on it. That's like, dude, you're watching a 63-year-old grandfather swing a bell. I don't know how to say it nicely, but God, get a life, you know?
And these will be people who haven't got time to get in shape.
They're watching me get in shape. One thing though, and even though it's not made to do this, I I don't know, in kilos, I can only give you a rough because it's a weird number, but I dropped 14 pounds in the 20 days. Now, in fairness, I also cut out some alcohol. I was down to like 30 drinks a day. I mean, just bare bones, you know, like an abolitionist, you know. So I lost 14 pounds, which would be sneaking up on the high six, you know, in the mid sixes kilos, yeah. And it was absolutely free. I was out the other night with one of my guys, he's a former Marine recon guy. I took my jacket off. He goes, "Crap, you leaned out. What'd you do?" And I said, "Oh, that's right. I did the challenge." And he goes, "I didn't know it worked that well." And I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't know it worked that well either."
There are people commenting on your form in the YouTube.
Oh, fuck that. So you're commenting on a 63-year-old grandfather with 2 titanium legs who has no interest in doing swings, and people are, "Oh, you know, you're not raising the bell high enough. This is all I need with that bell. I can't do 500 swings and really throw them You guys have seen me swing hard, right? When I swing hard, you don't want to get in a fist fight with me when I'm swinging. I mean, you can see it. But to do 500, there's no way your grip would hold on. In fact, okay, today is one of the first. It's been, I don't know, 6 or 7 days, and finally my grip is doing this again. So what you do is you do the 10,000 swings. You'll notice when you wake up, your grip is like that because it just gets so tired. Everything's just kind of
T-Rex.
Yeah, it just tightens and folds in because it's so beat up. Yeah.
Well, Dan, thank you so much again. I'll contact you to arrange a time to get you back on. That'd be amazing. I think we've got a friend of yours, Phil McDougall's coming on in a couple of weeks.
Oh, that no good. You're allowing him on the show?
He begged us. He's been begging us for weeks.
So sad.
Finally said okay.
Yeah, McElroy, you got McDougall.
Got any questions for him?
Well, I tell you, we had a marvelous day, my wife and I, with him. We went up and we went to where the SAS does that little test, those 7 hills.
Yes.
Oh, the Brecon Beacons. That's just up the road from me. It's great. Yeah.
Actually, you know, I've been close. I'm not allowed to tell you guys sometimes when I'm out in that area, but we won't. You know, it's supposed to be. You know.
Over.
But it was a delightful day with Phil there. It was just and I want to say his dog's name's Henry.
Yep, Henry of Cambridge.
Henry of Cambridge, isn't it?
Yeah, and just give him my best. I really like Phil. He's got, you know, I don't know why he hangs around with me, but I think he's okay.
He's not very good at spoof though, because he lost. It was his idea that time. That was the level. Was that the level 2? Like 2015, it was his idea. We were at that pub, weren't we? And he decided to play spoof.
You know,
and then the loser had to neck a Viagra, and he lost.
Should have gave him some of mine. You know.
Have we got the Paul McElroy question anyway?
Oh, So Paul McElroy said, I think it was from the same wedding that you were at with him, and he said, how many people came over to you on that wedding and asked you a strength or a training related question?
So here, it turned out to be something more like this. Someone would bring over a beer or a drink and say, "Here, Dan, I got this for you." "Oh, thank you." "Hey, while you're standing there with that beer I just handed to you, I have several." Yeah.
Basically, Paul was sending them over to you, wasn't he?
Oh, it was. I got to tell you, it was those two. Their wedding was spectacular. There was a lot of famous people, and I think a lot of those famous people were bothered because the American strength coach had the most groupies. It was like there was a queue. I believe that's what you call it in England, a queue.
Yeah, we're very good at that.
The lining up to give me a drink and ask me a question. So Dan, yes. If I do the 1 lift a day program, but add bench press, can I do that? Well, that would be the 2-day lift program. So that would be a different. I want to do, Dan, I read your Olympic lifting program, but I don't know how to do the Olympic lifts or have an Olympic bar. So can I do the program? I don't have any kettlebells. Can I do the 10,000 kettlebell swing challenge?
Given that you were given a drink each time, were your answers getting better or worse as the evening progressed?
Well, The only reason I use, in fact, it's the only reason gentlemen like me use alcohol, is when you got a face like this, it's very important for the females you're with to drink heavy, because I get better looking after every beverage. And yeah, so I would only say, yeah, I don't remember the answer to every question after about the first 6 hours. Yes.
Brilliant. Well, we will pass on your best wishes to Phil in a couple of weeks' time, or a week or two's time.
Yeah, try to make up something positive. Yeah, just.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed, Dan. I'll get over to you the single page 1, 2, 3, 4 assessment and anything else that we need to put into the show notes and things like that. We will do, obviously.
What I'll do is I'll get that. I'll email you the matrix and the Venn diagram as soon as I hang up here. Okay.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Pete, do you have anything more you'd like to say, or would you like to say goodbye? Or
I'm done. That was great. I'm done. Goodbye. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you all. Excellent.
Also, James, I'm just thinking about this. If I come back, I wouldn't mind if we do a workshop, do this kind of thing where not a lot of PowerPoints, but maybe some handouts, and then just walking people through it and showing people how easy it is, but also how powerful all this is.
No, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, well, like I say, when you come over, whatever you want to do, sort of seminar, workshop wise, we'll discuss it, and whatever you share with people would be fantastic. That'd be great. Brilliant. Paul, do you want to say goodbye, or any more questions?
Well, I just think it's very useful, just from the point of view of a client, to know that if you find the right trainer, what they're trying to do is take a huge amount of disparate goals and kind of ideas about self, and try and create a system to evaluate so that you can get a consistent output. Because I think that's what a lot of people lack, is they lack something that has been a path that's been walked, a path that gets results and has been proven. And really, with so many different ways of doing things out there in the world, the big challenge for trainers is to find some way of getting a hold of it, taking it by a scruff of the neck, and coming out the other side with something the client actually wants, and, as you say, Dan, really what they need. And so it's fascinating to hear about this system, because really it adds that flesh and bone, flesh and skin to an otherwise empty skeleton of what we do.
Well, I did that 4-day FMS thing, the CK FMS thing, and I remember sitting with Brett and Gray at dinner, and I was like, so I got this number, what do I do with it? And the answer basically is with nothing. It's just, so you're a 14 in the FMS. Every client I've ever had will say, well, what does that mean? And the answer is, I don't know. Whereas in my little system, I'm sending people off to professionals, and I got a ballpark of what we need to do. And really, it's only for the next 2 weeks. But if you can get those first 2 weeks with a client and you start trending in a good direction, you get that momentum. Okay. All right. I got to bounce. I got to go be wonderful.
No, Dan, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. Thank you so much. We will see you again soon. Guys, listeners, please like, please subscribe, please follow us, please share with your friends, and we will be back with Dan in a few weeks, I'm sure, for part 3, and we will see you all soon. Take care. See you later.
Bye.
Oh, he's gone.
You've been listening to Health Odyssey with Peter Lant, Paul Bassett, and James St. Pierre. To get your regular fix of hype-free health, you can subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can find out more on today's and other topics at healthodyssey.com, or find us on Facebook or Instagram by searching for Health Oddity.